To start us off, I would like to ask you all one question and think about this. How many of us would be able to run our daily lives without a mobile phone or access to digital services? Let me answer that for you. For most of us, it will almost be impossible. Now imagine the power of that same connectivity in the hands of even the smallest farmer in India. Our first session today is a panel discussion which is titled Transforming Agricultural Systems Through Inclusive Digital Advisory Services in India. This is all about how technology, when designed for farmers and not just for markets, it can open doors to knowledge, to finance, and to markets that were once out of reach. And to take us through this important conversation, we have a stellar panel led by our moderator, Ms. Shatarupa Kashyap, Senior Director at Grameen Foundation. Can we please have a round of applause? May I now request our distinguished panelists to please join us on stage. We have Mr. Benjamin Grayop, co-CEO and co-founder Farm Better. A huge round of applause, please. Dr. Naresh Shejawal, founder, Maharashtra Agri Startups and FPO Community. Mr. Ruchit Garg, founder and CEO, Harvesting Farmer Network. Mr. Anuj Kumbhat, founder, Weather Risk Management Services Private Limited. Ms. Pooja Bhaskar, Extension Agent, Grameen Foundation India. And Ms. Sarita Mishra, researcher at Grameen Foundation India. Thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone, and warm welcome to our distinguished panelists and each and everyone present here. So since yesterday, we have been listening about how to make our FPOs enterprise ready, how to increase the income and resilience of the shareholder farmers associated with FPO. And even today, during the discussion with Shiv Kumarji and Praveshji, they discussed about the importance of digital platform. So with this background, today we are going to have a very interactive discussion on transforming agricultural system by use of digital advisory services. So with me today, we have an incredible panel with mixed experience and expertise. So before starting, let me introduce them. Pooja is our extension agent, and Pooja has been working with us for the last 2 years. With us, Benjamin. Benjamin is from Panama City, and he is the co-founder and co-CEO of application by the name of Farm Better, and where he leads a team to empower farmers to increase their climate and resilience and income through digital advisory. He has over 15 years of experience. We have Ruchit. Ruchit is the co-founder and CEO of Harvesting Farmer Network. He leads one of the India's largest digital platform for smallholder farmers. With over decades of global experience, including leadership roles at Microsoft, Ruchit leverages AI and technology to strengthen FPO and transform India's farming ecosystem. Coming to Mr. Anuj, he is the co-founder and CEO of WRMS. He is a leading expert in climate and agriculture risk management. Under his leadership, WRMS has positively impacted over 10 million people across 22 states in India and 30 countries globally through innovative agro-advisory and parametric insurance solution. We have Naresh. Dr. Naresh is with having 16 plus years of experience. He's a serial entrepreneur in the AgTech domain, mentoring agri startups and consulting to corporates, World Bank, NGO, and NABARD. So with this, to set the context, Grameen Foundation India has been implementing a multi-country research project. In this project, we are using digital advisory services for promotion and adoption of sustainable land management practices. So before having our discussion, I would like to request Sarita, who is our research scholar, to give a brief introduction of that project. Yeah.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarita Mishra. I'm a PhD scholar in Agri-Path project under Grameen Foundation India. So our Agri-Path project is to empowering smallholder farmers transition to sustainable agriculture through efficient digital pathways. So first of all, I would like to give a small information about our project. So our consortium members are Center for Development and Environment, CDE, Grameen Foundation USA, Grameen Foundation India, ECP, and the Farm Better app. So over the 5 years, the project has been implementing in the 5 countries. In Asia, it is in India and Nepal, and in sub-Saharan Africa countries. It is going on in Burkina Faso, Uganda, and Tanzania. Our beneficiaries are 250 extension agents. Along with we have to scale or reach out to the farmers up to 50,000 farmers, 10,000 in each country. Now, the small introduction about the AgriPath. So AgriPath, it is an action research project that aims to bring sustainable agriculture through use of digital pathways. So the idea is that the smallholder farmers can improve their productivity, income, but when they will get right information at the right time. So this project is to test how digital pathways on combination with the help of the
Please, the screen is not changing, Amber, if you can coordinate.
Okay,
yeah,
so this AgriPath, this project is to test how digital pathways in combination with the help of extension agent can create different pathways for the adoption of sustainable land management practices. Now, there are different levels of this AgriPath project. First of all, we have to identify the social norms and the cultural barriers for the adoption of the sustainable agriculture or land management practices. Next one is to customize the app in a local language so that the farmers can easily read and understand the sustainable land management practices given in this. Next is to compare the different digital advisory services models and know which will work best. Then we have to capacitize the stakeholders and the farmers so that we can achieve or promote sustainable practices. Now this AgriPath project, it is based on randomized controlled trial. So our research sites are Varanasi and Mirzapur. We have 4 wings or 4 models on which we are working: agent, hybrid, self, and control. So 40 villages in each model and 11 farmers in each villages. So total, we are working with the 1760 households or farmers. Now, a very important slide. So this slide is highlighting the comparison between the baseline and the endline survey for adoption or awareness of the sustainable land management practices. So in this slide, you can easily see these are the top 10 practices out of the 29 practices which have been introduced. So these slides, these are the top 10 practices out of the 29 practices which have been introduced during this survey, baseline or end line. So these 10 practices are earth burn, organic manure, erosion control burn, drainage ditches, water harvesting burn, minimum tillage, then tree belt, intercropping, crop rotation, and the green manuring. So in this slide, you will observe that there is a line, white line, which is showing the comparison between the baseline and the end line. So in case of the earth-burnt and organic manure, you are easily knowing that this is the traditional methods which the farmers are doing. So, but then also working with the farmers, so there is a positive change in these practices, earth-burnt organic manure, then in drainage ditches also, minimum tillage, crop rotation. and the new practices which have been introduced on working with the farmers from the baseline and the end line, that is the erosion control bund, then tree belt and intercropping. Next slide, it is highlighting the adoption of the sustainable land management practices. So here also in these model, agent, hybrid, self and control, in the first graph, you can easily see in each practices, the adoption rates are higher in case of agent, hybrid, self and control, because the farmers, they are using the digital advisory app just given or provided to the farmers. So on getting the information with the use of digital advisory app about the sustainable land management practices, their adoption rates have increased. So this is the positive change. Next slide, next graph, it is showing the comparative difference in the adoption of the sustainable land management practices. So in this graph also, you can see the agent, hybrid and self, it is showing the positive change. But in case of the control model, which have been not introduced any digital advisory app, which have been not interacted with any extension agents, so there is a negative effect, or we can say that digital advisory app, it has a positive change or it has improved over time. So next one, this slide, it is showing awareness and uses of the digital advisory services. So in our AgriPath project, digital advisory app means this digital toolkit, it is the Farm Better app, which we are using or providing to the farmers to install it and get the information about the sustainable land management practices. So in the first graph, we can see the farmers, their awareness rates are higher in case of agent model, hybrid model, self model, and control rates, it is lower than these. Next graph, it is showing, have they ever heard about the Farm Better app? Yes, you can see, easily observe that agent, they are saying that yes, 100% they have heard it and they have adopted it. Hybrid, 100% they have heard it, they have adopted it. Self rate is lower because there is no interaction of the extension agent. Only farmers have installed it and they are using it. In case of control, you can see percentage rates are very low. Now, last graph, it is showing that have they ever used? Yes, agent model, where agents are the facilitator who reach to the farmers and tell about these app and the sustainable land management practices. So agent rates are 89.7%, hybrid 91.7%, self 87.1%, and control very low percent 13.3%. Again, farmers are aware about the digital advisory services and they have adopted it. So these are the conclusions. These are the conclusions and implications which the farmers and we can go way forward. Next one, first one is the targeted DAS works, of course, in all the model, either agent model, self model, hybrid model, DAS percentage rates are higher in comparison to the control. Then we can easily see hybrid and agent model, it drives strongest outcome because in agent, there is a facilitator is agent. In hybrid, farmers, agents, they are reaching to the farmers and farmer itself has that app which can use by them. Next one is the self model, means farmers only has this app, no interaction with the agent. But these all three models, they have the digital advisory app, this Farm Better app, in which sustainable land management practices are given, they can read and they are implementing on their fields. Next one, we can easily say that means DAS works, or we can say DAS, if it combines with the extension agent, it can create different pathway or positive pathway for the farmers for the sustainable agriculture. So these are the some glimpses of our AgriPath journey from the baseline to the end line. So in some pictures, we can see that we are taking or conducting the survey of baseline, taking question, taking survey of the farmers. Then in fourth picture, you can see we also have demonstrated plots about rice and wheat. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarita. So adding to what Sarita presented, our government has already taken significant initiative for digitalization of the agriculture. Cabinet has already approved digital agriculture mission where a robust agriculture framework will be created. But at the same time, in our country, multiple app-based organizations are working with their own application, and these applications have their own limitation and benefit, and they are working at silo. So while developing such type of application, there are certain components needs to be taken care of. So today we are going to discuss about all the components. So first component what I am thinking is design. So coming to Benjamin, what are the key elements did you consider while designing your Farm Better application, and how all these are reflecting today?
Thank you so much, Shatarupa, and welcome to everyone from my side. Thanks also to GFI for inviting me. And I just come from visiting a number of FPOs in UP. Some of them I know are here, and also agri-entrepreneurs in AP, which has been extremely enriching for me to see. And I think that's also a good segue into starting to talk about design of digital applications or a platform in our case. I think what probably everybody on the stage is going to agree about is you can't just build something for farmers somewhere with some techies. You have to do it together with them. You have to use human-centered design approaches, and you need to be close and jointly develop, implement, and grow. And I think that's probably pretty common standard by now. In our case, what are two aspects that are rather special, I would say, is on one hand the focus on sustainable land management practices, which you've seen now. We're a partner together with Grameen and others in the AgriPath research project. So that focus means that we really work to empower farmers to bring change themselves. They don't need, on a lot of these practices, tons of inputs. They can do that mostly by themselves. And then the second part, I think that's special, is what you just saw from the AgriPath. It's actually going deep into research, working with farmers, not just in India, but across the 8 countries where we're actually active, and trying to figure out what's the best way to reach them. So in our design, I think like many other solutions, we started out with an application, a mobile app just for farmers. And throughout the AgriPath process and what you've seen in the conclusions, it became clear that that can get you to a certain level of farmers' understandings, but if you really want behavioral change on the level of practices and in the field, it is much more effective to work with human agents. So there's a place, I think that came out really nicely in the presentation also just now, where you can get to a certain level just with digital tools, and AI might be changing some of that now, but up until this point, you can get to a certain level with just digital tools. But if you really want adoption and changes on the field level, you need to work and combine digital tools with humans. And that might be very intense in the beginning, the human factor, and then it gets less as farmers start to trust your digital tools more.
Thank you so much, Benjamin. So coming to Pooja, Pooja, आप कौन सा application use कर रहे हैं?
मैम, हेलो मैम, मैं फॉर्म बेटर ऐप इस्तेमाल करती हूँ.
ओके, सो आप ये जो एप्लीकेशन यूज़ करते हो, आपको कोई दिक्कत आते हैं क्या?
नहीं मैम, अभी तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, बहुत आसानी से चलता है. जैसे शुरुआती दौर में नेटवर्क गांव में थोड़ा कम होता है, इस वजह से फार्मर्स जब एप्लीकेशन ऑन करते थे तो नेटवर्क नहीं होने की वजह से नहीं देख पाते थे. तो अभी क्या है कि बिना नेटवर्क के भी ये ऐप चल रहा है, तो किसान को बहुत आसानी हो गया है. जिसके पास जैसे नेट नहीं है तो बिना नेट का भी ये ऐप चला सकता है.
ओके, दैट इज़ इंटरेस्टिंग. सो आप ये एप्लीकेशन में जो ऐप है, सबसे आपको क्या चीज़ अच्छा लगता है?
मैम, सतत भूमि विकास शतत भूमि विकास है, जो कि इस ऐप में लाइब्रेरी है जिसमें 50 से ज़्यादा प्रैक्टिस है, जो कि हम खुद पढ़ते हैं और फार्मर्स को भी बताते हैं, और फार्मर्स भी अब अपने से खुद से पढ़ते हैं और सीखते हैं।
Thank you, Pooja. So, coming to Naresh, so you have been traveling to the field and you have very vast experience. So, how do you feel that design can be an important factor for increasing the adoption of such type of application by the farmers?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yesterday I was listening patiently to Anil sir, and he quoted fantastic thing. During the COVID time, we all realize the money in the bank is not equal to food on our table. So, but one thing is I'm very much sure about: money in the farmer's pocket can ensure food on our table. So this is the whole philosophy behind designing the tools. So whichever digital intervention, whichever tool, which actually guarantees the income of the people who are on the ground, which will impact their economic growth, the digital intervention and the tools will be adopted and the intervention will be successful. So when we try to design the tools and give it to the end users, our first thing which we think about its economic impact. And then we try to redesign the flow, like then human-centric approach and user-friendly approach. So in our tools, we have basically, taken many feedbacks from farmers, and then women entrepreneurs, they are part of this intervention. So they have been giving us feedback, and accordingly we are optimizing the tools. That is first thing. The human-centric approach, where we have designed systematic learning mechanism, where we have provided some library of videos and audios that actually helps the semi-literate crowd to understand the flow of the system, and that helps them to interact with farmers, collect their data, understand their needs, and try to cater with the services and sell the products. So that is how it helps them to, create some livelihood opportunities and then create some income opportunities. So these are the two main things.
Thank you so much. So in design, what I believe in an application, from design point of view, stickiness of the application is very important. In sometimes what we have observed, that stickiness is not there. After a certain time, the farmers, they are deleting the application. So Ruchit, what do you think? Like while designing your application, have you considered this also?
नमस्कार, मेरा नाम रुचित है और मैं किसानों के साथ काम करता हूँ। थोड़ा सा 1 मिनट लूँगा कि जैसे हम यहाँ सब कोऑपरेटिव बना रहे हैं, और अगर हम ध्यान से सोचें तो कोऑपरेटिव का मतलब है कोऑपरेटिंग, है ना। और जब हम FPO बना लेते हैं तो कोई साथ में काम नहीं करता है, बहुत मुश्किल है। तो इस समस्या को जो है सॉल्व करने के लिए जो है तकनीक जो है आपकी बहुत ज़्यादा मदद कर सकता है। और HFN में हमारा वही मिशन है कि FPO से जो किसान मेंबर हैं वो जुड़ें, ज़्यादा जुड़ें, और उसमें तकनीक जो है एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण रोल अदा कर सकता है। और प्रश्न ये है कि कैसा हम एप्लीकेशन बनाएं भी कि ना बनाएं, ताकि वो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा किसान और फार्मर कोऑपरेटिव उसको इस्तेमाल कर सके। तो डिज़ाइन जब हम बात करते हैं तो डिज़ाइन कई तरह के डिज़ाइन हो सकते हैं। एक टेक्नोलॉजिकल स्पेसिफिक हो सकता है, यूज़र एक्सपीरियंस स्पेसिफिक हो सकता है। जब हमने भी शुरुआत की थी तो हमने उठा के एक फार्मर ऐप बना दिया, 2 लाख किसान इस्तेमाल करते थे। और हमने ये पाया कि उसके साथ कई समस्याएं हैं। समस्या एक ये है कि जो किसान हैं उनके पास अगर आईफोन नहीं है, जो अधिकतर किसानों के पास नहीं है, तो वो 2 दिन इस्तेमाल करने के बाद डिलीट कर देता है। वो डिलीट इसलिए कर देता है, ऐसा नहीं है कि एप्लीकेशन अच्छा नहीं है, बट कई बार हमने ये देखा कि उसके पास और बहुत सारी एप्लीकेशन है, उसका फ़ोन चल जाए इसके लिए वो हमारी ऐप डिलीट कर देता था। तो ऐसी बहुत सारी समस्याएं हैं। हमने क्या किया, फिर हमने ऐप ही छोड़ दिया। हमने अपना सारा एडवाइजरी, कॉमर्स, इनपुट कनेक्शन, मार्केट लिंकेज, वो सारा व्हाट्सएप पे ले आए। क्यों? कि कि उसको व्हाट्सएप ऑलरेडी इंस्टॉल्ड है, कोई एक नया एप्लीकेशन इंस्टॉल करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, वो हो गया टेक्नोलॉजिकल डिज़ाइन चेंज। सेकंड, एक यूज़र एक्सपीरियंस है। हमें अगर हम कोई भी ऐप बनाएंगे तो उसको बताना पड़ेगा कि भाई लाल बटन यहाँ है, हरा बटन यहाँ है, एक नई तरह की भाषा उसको समझनी पड़ेगी। लेकिन अगर वो व्हाट्सएप में ही हम उससे बात कर रहे हैं किसान से, तो उसको व्हाट्सएप बहुत बढ़िया से आता है, चाहे वो वॉइस नोट लिख के भेज रहा है, चाहे वो फ़ोटो खींच के भेज रहा है, चाहे वो टेक्स्ट में लिख रहा है। तो हमने अपना सारा सॉफ्टवेयर व्हाट्सएप बेस्ड बना दिया जो किसानों के लिए है। तो उसको ना तो अब मेमोरी ज़्यादा खर्च हो रही है, उसका यूज़र एक्सपीरियंस जो है वो उसके फेमिलियर एक्सपीरियंस है। और तीसरा जो हमने डिज़ाइन चॉइस किया कि एआई को लगा के हमने सारी लैंग्वेजेस को कवर कर लिया है। तो किसान को अगर ये पूछना है कि भाई अमरूद में काला धब्बा पड़ा है तो क्या करना है, उसने सिर्फ फ़ोटो खींच के व्हाट्सएप में डालना है, तो वो मशीन जो है तुरंत उसकी भाषा में क्या समस्या है, कैसे ठीक हो गई, क्या कंट्रोलिंग मेजर है, प्रिवेंटिव मेजर है, और कहाँ वो प्रोडक्ट मिलेगा। मतलब अगर वो किसी एफपीओ का मेंबर है तो एफपीओ का नाम और फ़ोन नंबर कि भाई आपके एफपीओ के पास इसकी दवा है, वहाँ फ़ोन कर लीजिए। और साथ ही वो समाचार जो है एक मैसेज कर देते हैं एफपीओ के सीईओ को, तो वो फ़ोन कर लेता है किसान को कि भैया रामलाल जी को ये दवाई बेच आओ, तो कॉमर्स भी कर लेते हैं। तो ये सारी चीज़ें मिला के लाइक दीज आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट डिज़ाइन चॉइसेस कि हमने कोई नया ऐप नहीं बनाया, हमने जो ऐप किसानों को बहुत अच्छी तरीके से आती है वही इस्तेमाल की। अगर उसको लिखना नहीं आता है तो वो अपनी भाषा में वॉइस नोट भेज सकता है, उसको वो भी नहीं आता है तो वो फ़ोटो खींच के भेज सकता है। और आज की तारीख में हमारा जो एआई है वो सारी चीज़ों को कवर करता है। तो ये बहुत सारे हमने प्रिकॉशंस, क्योंकि मैंने ओवर द टाइम बहुत ही कॉम्प्लिकेटेड टेक्नोलॉजीज़ बनाई हैं, तो मुझे पता है अब कि कहाँ टेक्नोलॉजी का इस्तेमाल नहीं करना है। तो कई सालों में हम इस निष्कर्ष पे आए कि ऐप नहीं बनाना चाहिए, और जो किसान को इंटरफेस पता है उसी इंटरफेस को हम इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए।
Thank you so much, Ruchit, and that is very insightful. So once the design is done, so next important component is implementation or rollout. And implementation and rollout has its own complication and challenges. So with that, coming to Anuj, so when you roll out your application, how did you convince the farmers to follow that, and what mechanism you used?
Thanks, Shatrupa, and it's a pleasure to be here. Actually, हमने एडवाइजरी तब चालू की जब फार्मर ने हमसे मांगी। हम बेसिकली एक इंश्योरेंस डिज़ाइन करते थे किसानों के लिए, तो हमें कन्विंस नहीं करना पड़ा। फार्मर ने हमें बोला, जब हम इंश्योरेंस देने जाते थे उसको, तो वो बोलता था कि आप इंश्योरेंस देने आ रहे हैं और उसके बाद जब क्लेम आता है तब वापस आते हैं। पीछे के बीच के 3 महीने में मुझे क्या करना है खेती के लिए मुझे कुछ नहीं पता है। और हमने ये काम तब चालू किया जब बटन वाले फ़ोन हुआ करते थे, हमारे पास भी किसान के पास भी स्मार्टफोन नहीं होते थे। तो किसान को ये बताना कि उसको क्या करना चाहिए, और उसको ज़्यादा जानकारी उस समय नहीं चाहिए थी, उसको सिर्फ ये चाहिए था कि वेदर क्या होने वाला है ये बताइए, क्योंकि आप वेदर इंश्योरेंस दे रहे हो, बारिश का बीमा कर रहे हो, तो आप हमें ये बताओ कि वेदर क्या है और क्या रहने वाला है अगले 7 दिन। तो देन वी स्टार्टेड ऑफरिंग द वेदर advisory and that was the initiation of offering advisory services. तब हमने उनको ये देना चालू किया, एंड उसके बाद उनके फीडबैक आए कि उनको और क्या चाहिए और कैसे चाहिए, वो हमने बदला। और ऐप में भी हमने जब उनसे बात की, जब मोबाइल एप्लीकेशन उनके पास आने लगे, तो ज़्यादातर किसानों ने बोला कि हमें वीडियो पे चाहिए, क्योंकि हम वीडियो देखना ज़्यादा समझ पाते हैं और देख पाते हैं, तो हमें वीडियो पे चाहिए। और आप पूरे दिन अगर मैसेज भेजेंगे तो हम नहीं पढ़ेंगे। आप सुबह 6 बजे या 7 बजे हम जब जाते हैं, उससे पहले हम स्मार्टफोन यूज़ करते हैं, उसके बाद हम एक बटन वाला फ़ोन लेके खेत में जाते हैं, क्योंकि फ़ोन ख़राब होने का डर रहता है। तो आप तब भेजना है तो SMS भेजिए दूसरे नंबर पे, वो भी नंबर हम देंगे, और अगर आपको सुबह कुछ भेजना है तब हम उसको देख सकते हैं और पढ़ सकते हैं। So that is the way we started. हमें ये ज़रूरी था कि हम इसको इंश्योरेंस से लिंक करें या जो सर्विसेज दे रहे हैं उनसे लिंक करें। और किसान ने बोला कि एडवाइजरी क्या आप अपनी ही एडवाइजरी को गारंटी कर सकते हैं कि मैं उसको फॉलो करूँगा तो क्या होगा? तो what we started doing is that कि हमने बोला ठीक है आप इसको फॉलो कीजिए. 90% of the risk was related to weather. So हमने उनको बोला कि हम आपको इनकम स्टेबिलिटी देंगे. अगर आप इस एडवाइजरी को फॉलो कर रहे हैं तो आपकी पैदावार बढ़ेगी. अगर कम होती है इस नॉर्मल जो होनी चाहिए तो हम आपको उसका कंपनसेशन देंगे. तो हमने इंश्योरेंस, रिस्क मैनेजमेंट और एडवाइजरी को लिंक किया. उसके बाद ही किसान ने उसको और फॉलो करना चालू किया, क्योंकि उसको ये लग रहा था कि अगर कुछ गलती होती है या कुछ होता है तो मुझे पेमेंट भी मिलेगा. सो दैट इज़ हाउ वी डिड इट. कुछ 38 से 40 हज़ार फार्मरों ने ये लिया. और ये जो लर्निंग है धीरे धीरे हमें समझ में आया कि हमें किसान को क्या देना है, और इसके बेसिस पे हमने इम्प्लीमेंट किया और उनके फीडबैक को इनकॉर्पोरेट किया. जैसे कि हमें सुबह ये मैसेज चाहिए, हम उसके बाद वीडियो नहीं देख सकते, उसके बाद हमारे पास वक्त नहीं होता है, हम खेत में जाते हैं. और इन सबको इनकॉर्पोरेट करके, और हमने ये एक और लर्निंग की कि अगर आपको किसान के पास पहुंचना है, आप डायरेक्टली पहुंचेंगे तो काफ़ी महंगा है और काफ़ी मुश्किल है. तो जो पार्टनर्स होते हैं जो ऑलरेडी किसान के साथ काम कर रहे हैं उनके साथ काम कीजिए. तो हमने बहुत इनपुट और आउटपुट वाले पार्टनर्स के साथ काम किया है और उनको ये उनके थ्रू ये सर्विसेज दी हैं, बहुत इंश्योरेंस या फिर इनकम स्टेबिलिटी और गारंटी एंड एडवाइजरी सर्विसेज. थैंक यू.
Thank you, Anuj. And that is very impressive, like how you started your journey with a button phone and then connecting that with risk and insurance assurance. Yeah. So coming to Naresh again, since you have been associated with DEHAT, so how DEHAT ensure effective implementation?
Yeah, so for effective implementation, there are three layers. I mean, three ways we go. Like first is like the building local trust. This is very much important. And then phase rollout. So you are growing sustainably and then you scale effectively. So building local trust means what? I mean, DEHAT is working with local women entrepreneurs and providing them certain tools. So using that, they can actually interact with farmers. And they are also provided with different kinds of like different campaign run for that purpose, and then provided training and videos and audios and all those stuff help them to have confidence while dealing with farmers, and then they can build businesses with farmer. So that is, their local trust is something which is very important. Even DEHAT, the farmers won't be able to trust DEHAT directly, but the local person is something which farmer can easily trust. Scaling, stage-wise, like initially they have started like in Lakhimpur and then some part of eastern UP, and then now it is being replicated to other part of nation as well. The motivation for these, women and these local entrepreneur, micro entrepreneurs, the income source, what they are getting from all these interventions, like 6,000 to 8,000 per month minimum they are getting, and that is the biggest motivation to scale these application and intervention in their local communities. So that is how we are building sustainably, and the engagement is very good.
Thank you so much, Naresh. So once the implementation is done, next is the content, which is very important and which may be static or dynamic. So if I'm coming to the static content, Benjamin, can you share some of your views, how you are using WCAT database for generating static content?
Yes, absolutely. I want to just, before I do that, go a little bit back to what I think I understood from Rashid's contribution, which was this focus on WhatsApp, because it's something farmers already use in many cases. And that's also on the design side what we have learned to do, because we've gone from that farmer-facing app to a 3-in-1 platform where a WhatsApp chatbot actually using the WCAT database integrates with a mobile app for agents, for facilitators, whatever you want to call them, which helps them to aggregate demand on the input side, but also on the output side, and then a web dashboard for FPOs and cooperatives, which helps them to understand what is happening on the field level and also to manage the output towards quality and quantity more efficiently and more effectively. Now, when it comes to content, we are using right now mostly the WCAT database on sustainable land management practices. We are using some AI to summarize that, because while the content is quite good, it's global content, it's from the ground up, so there are best practices that come from all around the world. It's sustainable content with the practices you've seen presented before. And something really, really important, especially in the age of AI, it's actually scientifically reviewed. So there is a secretariat that has reviewed these over 1,700 good practices, so that farmers don't get hallucinated content, which I think is a big risk with certain uses of AI models. Not all of them, but some of them. Having said that, for a lot of farmers, that's still often complicated when it comes to implementation. That's what we've seen in the AgriPath project and beyond. So what we're doing is, on one hand, adding more content. Again, scientifically reviewed one on, let's say, pest and disease management with an additional database there, on hyperlocal weather forecasts, and so on. At the same time, I think there's no way around using AI to actually get a lot of this content and get it to farmers in voice and in very practical terms, in step-by-step, with photos or even videos if bandwidth allows. That's what we've been hearing over and over again are the needs, so that farmers can really implement those practices. So that's how we are going from, I think, static content, really taking an important view on quality assurance, which I think we all should, because just putting wrapper, there's certain players who just put wrapper around LLMs, and that's very risky because you don't know when they start hallucinating.
Thank you. So coming to the perspective of dynamic content, so Anuj, how do you maintain the accuracy or the quality of the content, and in terms of real-time information providing?
Yeah, since we were also guaranteeing income of the farmer, or giving the guarantee to the farmer that if there is a loss, we'll pay, हम हर फार्म को जियो टैग कर रहे थे, जिनको कवर कर रहे थे, तो उसके लिए लोकल कंटेंट इसलिए जनरेट हो रहा है कि हम रिमोट सेंसिंग से उस फार्म का पिछला स्कोर और क्या किया है, आज तक फार्मर ने इस पर क्या किया है, वो एनालाइज कर पाते हैं. उसके अलावा हम हर गांव जिसमें काम करते थे उसमें एक वेदर स्टेशन लगाते थे और 2 ऑटोमेटिक पेस्ट ट्रैप्स लगाते थे जो हमारी IoT टीम ने बनाए थे, जिससे हम वहाँ पे जो पेस्ट इंटेंसिटी है वो मॉनिटर कर सकें, जो मेजर पेस्ट है उसको. जैसे मिर्ची में ब्लैक थ्रिप्स होता है, उसको हम मॉनिटर कर रहे थे. उसी तरह और भी जो पेस्ट हैं उनको हम मॉनिटर करते हैं, और उस डेटा को AI यूज़ करके हम एनालाइज करते हैं कि काउंट कितना बढ़ रहा है इंक्रीमेंटली हर रोज़ या हर घंटे रादर, और उसको हमारी एडवाइजरी को अपडेट करते थे उसके बेसिस पे. और वो एडवाइजरी फिर फार्मर को जाती थी कि उनको अब क्या करना चाहिए. और मिर्ची के अंदर एग्रो कैम बहुत लगता है, समहाउ हर दूसरे या तीसरे दिन एक्चुअली किसान को कई बार स्प्रे करना पड़ता है, तो उनको ये एडवाइजरी देनी ज़रूरी है कि कब रोकना है और कब करना है, ताकि कुछ बचे और कुछ कम लगे शायद. और ये इसके कारण होता था, जो बेस कंटेंट प्रेपरेशन होता था वो पार्टनर्स से फीडबैक लेते थे हम, और कि ये हम कंटेंट है, आईकार से भी फीडबैक लेते थे, और उस बेस कंटेंट को ये डायनेमिक वेदर स्टेशन और पेस्ट ट्रैप से हम डायनेमिक कंटेंट बनाते थे, और रिमोट सेंसिंग से, क्योंकि हम हर फार्म को मॉनिटर कर रहे हैं. इस तरह हम डायनेमिक कंटेंट देते थे, और उसके बाद फार्मर से फीडबैक लेते थे कि जो हमने एडवाइजरी दी है वो एक्चुअली कितनी इम्पैक्ट किया है उनके फार्म को, और एक्चुअल हमने अगर बोला है कि पेस्ट बहुत ज़्यादा है तो वाकई में ज़्यादा था कि नहीं था. और क्योंकि हमारा ऐप 2 वे था और एकदम अपनी वॉइस छोड़ सकता था किसान की मेरे साथ ये हुआ है, और फ़ोटो भी और या वीडियो भी, तो हम किसान से सुनते थे कि उनको क्या इम्पैक्ट हो रहा है, और हमारी जो फील्ड टीम थी वो भी बात करती थी. सो इस तरह कंटेंट को डायनामिक रखा जाता था.
थैंक यू. सो कमिंग टू पूजा, सो पूजा, आप जो फार्म बेटर एप्लीकेशन यूज़ कर रहे हो, सो आपको क्या लगता है कि उस एप्लीकेशन में और क्या होने से जो किसान है उनका कृषि उत्पादन बढ़ जाएगा?
जैसे मैम, ये एप्लीकेशन में हम शॉर्ट वीडियो अगर डालते हैं ऐप में, तो फार्मर्स बहुत आसानी से देखेंगे. जैसे कि गांव में किसान थोड़े कम पढ़े लिखे हैं, तो वो पढ़ने में थोड़ा टाइम लगाते हैं. ऐसे वीडियो फॉर्म में रहेगा तो तो वो आसानी से पढ़ सकते हैं और वो समझ सकते हैं.
Thank you. That's very interesting and it's a point to be noted. Yeah. So moving quickly to the DAS ecosystem where our government is taking initiative and the government has already initiated for DPI in India and which is aiming to provide comprehensive and useful data on farmers comprising authenticated demographic detail, land holding and crop details. So on that point, coming to Ruchit, so I would like to know from you how the partnership between government, private sector and civil society can strengthen DAS ecosystem in India.
पार्टनरशिप बहुत ज़रूरी है, खासकर खेती के क्षेत्र में, क्योंकि ये बहुत बड़ा क्षेत्र है और हर क्षेत्र अपने आप में ही अपनी समस्याओं और अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ से भरा हुआ है. और भारत सरकार जो है बहुत सारे कार्य कर रही है, एग्री स्टैक है और कई तरह की चीज़ें हैं जो वो कर रहे हैं. हम हमारी तरफ से ये कह सकते हैं कि हमारे पास जो डेटा है, जो इंटेलिजेंस है, उसको धीमे धीमे सार्वजनिक रूप से उसको हम उपलब्ध करा रहे हैं, चाहे उसको API के थ्रू, चाहे नेटवर्क के थ्रू. और बहुत सारे जो कॉरपोरेट्स हैं, लेंडर्स हैं, इनपुट कंपनियां हैं जो हमारे साथ अब जुड़ रही हैं, CBBOs भी जुड़ रहे हैं, क्योंकि वो जो हमारा जो इंटेलिजेंस लेयर हमने बनाया है किसानों को, वो एक क्रमबद्ध तरीके से उसको जितने भी स्टेक होल्ड भागीदार हैं उनको हम जिस क्षमता से वो इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं उस क्षमता से उन अलग अलग इंटरफेस के ज़रिए उसको हम प्रोवाइड करा रहे हैं. फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल, मुझे अगर पता है कि पंजाब में 2 लाख किसान हैं जो कॉटन लगा रहे हैं और उनको एक पिंक वॉर्म की बीमारी है, उनको क्या दवाई लगेगी. अब कोई भी ऐसी कंपनी शायद नहीं है जो सभी किसानों को सही समय पे वो दवाई वहाँ उपलब्ध करा दे. तो उस जानकारी को हम API, एप्लीकेशन प्रोग्रामिंग इंटरफेस के ज़रिए, अगर वो एक टेक्निकली एडवांस कंपनी है, वहाँ उपलब्ध करा रहे हैं. कुछ हम अपने अलग ऐसे टूल्स बना रहे हैं जो आपस में जोड़ के वो आराम से कर सके. अगर जैसे बहुत सारी ड्रोन कंपनियां हैं, वो वहाँ छिड़काव करना चाहती हैं और उनको वो प्रोग्रामिंग नहीं आती है, तो वो इस तरह से डिफरेंट तरह के लेवल्स की इंटीग्रेशन हम अपने प्लेटफॉर्म से प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं. और अल्टीमेटली आई थिंक फार्मर्स जो है भारत का, वो तभी जीतेगा जब जो है हम लोग सब आगे मिलके साथ काम करेंगे, पार्टनरशिप के साथ काम करेंगे.
Very, very true, Ruchit. So, Benjamin, since you have the experience of working in India as well as other countries also, so can you please share your views in difference between Indian DAS ecosystem and international DAS ecosystem?
Yeah, I think, especially this last week, visiting a number of FPOs and also agripreneurs, I was extremely impressed by the diversity going from what FPOs do, from organic nursery all to international exports or just locally aggregating vegetables. So there's a huge diversity and a huge ingenuity and entrepreneurial spirit within farmers and FPOs. I think that's not the same all around the world. There's other places where I've seen similar setups, but I think that's stands out quite a lot in the Indian context. And then I think physical, but especially in the digital infrastructure side, I think there's a real willingness and a lot of work. It might not have reached its full potential yet, but there's quite a lot of work by the government to actually create that digital public infrastructure, that basis for a lot of DAS entrepreneurs to then be successful. Because if you don't have good digital or physical infrastructure, basically as an entrepreneur, you don't only have to create a successful product, but everything around it for your customers to be able to access it and benefit from it, and for farmers to actually then make more money with those tools. What I do think is similar is when we come to the needs. So the needs of farmers that I've seen around the world, and that has been mentioned yesterday, it's been mentioned also in videos before, from what FPOs need and farmers. Basically on the digital side, India is one of the 3 hotspots when it comes to the number of digital tools available in agriculture. It's India, Brazil, and Kenya would be 3 in the low and middle income countries, 3 of the key hotspots. that is a great thing because you have a lot of services on offer. It's also really overwhelming, and people want 1 or 2 or 3 and not 300 applications. So one-stop shops that integrate anything from digital advisory to market access to finance to inputs are really key, and also access to capital is really key for a lot of FPOs and farmers to then grow. Beyond that, and I think that goes also a bit to the stickiness you mentioned before, Shatarupa, there's a lot of initiatives, and a lot of them don't have a scalable business model behind them in DAS, especially in digital advisory services. They either go into input sales from the DAS or to capital, but really DAS digital business models are really, really rare, especially if you're trying to advance sustainable agricultural solutions. That's similar also in the Indian context to other contexts, and I think is the tens of billion-dollar question of how to figure out those business models that can actually work.
Thank you. So coming to the end of our discussion, so last question will be on how to make application gender inclusive. So पूजा मैं आपसे सुनना चाहती हूँ कि एप्लीकेशन में और क्या होने से ज़्यादा महिला यूज़ करेंगे?
जैसे मैम महिलाएं जो हैं ऐप इस्तेमाल करती हैं, तो इनका जैसे मंडी से कनेक्ट हो, जैसे उनके पास कुछ भी वो बो रही हैं, उगा रही हैं, तो जैसे कटाई से लेके बुआई से लेके कटाई तक का जो सफ़र होता है वो महिलाएं ही करती हैं गांव में। और महिलाओं को जब बेचने का बारी आता है तो उनके पति डिसाइड करते हैं, अब वो ले जाते हैं, बाज़ार भाव उनको पता रहता है। महिलाएं इसलिए भी नहीं जाती हैं कि उनको ठग लिया जाएगा, उनको बाज़ार भाव नहीं पता है। तो अगर हमें इस एप्लीकेशन में मंडी का भाव पता रहे तो महिलाएं भी इसमें इन्वॉल्व होकर के भागीदारी कर सकती हैं।
Important point. Thank you. So 1 or 2 words maybe from each one of you. What have you done to make your application gender inclusive?
I think Pooja is the answer here. I would say lady extension worker helps a lot in ensuring that it is explained in the same language to those who should use it, and that's what we have done. So.
Thank you. Ruchit?
हाँ, जैसा डिज़ाइन से शुरू किया था वो डिज़ाइन ऑलरेडी इतना डाइवर्स है, ऐसा एप्लीकेशन जो महिला किसान भी समझ सके, बात कर सके, और अगर उनके घर में अगर एक ही फ़ोन है तो सुबह भी इस्तेमाल कर सके और रात में इस्तेमाल कर सके, तो वो सारी सुविधाएं जो हैं हमने ध्यान में रखी हुई हैं हमारे HFN के ऐप में। जी।
Naresh?
Yeah, if I need to answer in a single word, that is empowered. So just like we are working with 400 plus women micro entrepreneurs, and the platform which we have created for them, and there is a lot of like bundling the values. So the things which are impacting their income, making them empowered, and now things are changed for them forever.
Yeah, thank you. Benjamin?
Yes, and I think here it's also interesting that the AgriPath project, beyond digital pathways, also looked at how can we specifically reach women and youth better. And there is quite a lot of work across the 5 countries, and it's just vastly different from country to country. In India, one thing that I think has come up here also is working with female agents, which we have done, and using language that is more easily understood. I think beyond that, it's really an issue in most cases in the digital space of access to phones, access to internet, access to the resources to be able to get to the digital advisory. And so once we work on that, I think then women are actually just as equipped as men to use the services there. There's some reports that came out recently from 60 Decibels funded by Gates in Nigeria and Kenya that I was just looking at before this session, which really showed that when it's about the use of digital resources in those 2 countries from farmers, there's no gender gap. They're being used equally by women and men as soon as they actually have access to the tools to get to these digital services.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And that's all from our side. So now we are opening the forum for question, and we can take only 2 to 3 questions if there is any questions. don't think, I have not seen any hand. I don't. So if there is no question, we can close this session. So thank you so much to our panelists for such an engaging session. And we have explored all the important components of DAS, starting from design to implementation to content. And it really gives us a very insightful, insightful session. And moving ahead, this will really help us in contributing, or maybe really help us in integrating what we are currently doing. With that, I would like to thank all the panelists, the participants here, the Samunnati team, and the Grameen team as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you to our panelists for a very engaging discussion. I would like to request Ms. Anupama, advisor to Samunnati Foundation, to please come up on the stage for the felicitation.
So before that, I just want to make one announcement here. So as part of our AgriPath project, Grameen has developed one DAS-like digital advisory service use toolkit. This toolkit is available in our stall number 32. And right now in India, we want to pilot this toolkit. So we are inviting organizations, whosoever interested to pilot this toolkit can come to our stall. And also we are ready to provide some financial support for testing this toolkit. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shatarupa. Mr. Benjamin. Dr. Naresh. Mr. Ruchit. Can we have a huge round of applause, please? Mr. Anuj. Miss Pooja. And Miss Sarita. Thank you so much, panelists. Thank you once again.